Howdy, Evan Gao, indie developer of Story Origin here. I really enjoyed my recent conversation with Madison Michael about mailing lists and how she's been able to build hers up into the thousands. In this conversation, she has a lot of great advice. One thing in particular that I found interesting was she sends her newsletter twice per month. One of those newsletters is focused just on promoting other authors, and the other newsletter is more on the personal update side, and she'll also usually include a couple of group promos that she's participating in that month. A lot of authors just send out a single newsletter per month that has all of that in it. So it has the personal updates, has group promos, and has newsletter swaps. And it will probably take about the same amount of time to put together two different newsletters that has that content broken up as it would to put it all into a single newsletter. The reason that I like breaking it up into two newsletters is usually you will find that you'll get higher open rates, click rates, and engagement from your audience when you send more frequently, because you are closer to top of mind and they can build more of a relationship and more of a connection to you. Madison has a ton of other great advice though in this conversation, so I've compiled some highlights from our conversation, and let's just jump right into it.
Okay, I rolled my eyes because I did so many things wrong before I started doing some things right. I have 9 books. Um, I write contemporary romance, a little bit of steam, a little bit of heat. And when I started out, which was about 6, 7 years ago, I published a book. I indie published a book. I didn't know anything about having a mailing list. I didn't know anything about reader magnets. I didn't know anything about um, websites or anything. I just published a book and thought, oh, I'll put it out there and the world will discover it. And I quickly learned that's not how it works. So I did some paid promotions. I did. I put up a website, and the first thing I did was I found other romance authors on social media, on forums, and I offered them a spot guest blogging on my website. And in exchange, I hoped that they would offer me a chance to guest blog on theirs. And initially, that was how I got a little bit of discovery. And about 2 years ago, I owe my change of direction to Emma St. Clair, and she put out some podcasts and said that you start with things that don't cost a lot of money, and you work up to things that like paid promotions or advertising that do, and start with the free stuff if you can. And she recommended swaps. And about the same time that I learned about swaps, I learned about Story Origin. And so I went to Story Origin to use swaps, and it was an exponential change to my email list. Exponential. I went from about 600 people on my email list. I put about 1,500 new readers on in the first year, about 1,000 in the second year, and over 800 this year. I actually didn't create a newsletter until after I created a reader magnet. I read about it, I learned about it, I watched webinars, I started to get smart about realizing I couldn't do this myself. And so I created 2 reader magnets. By then I had written 2 novels in a series, and I wrote a prequel to the series, thinking if I could get people to pick up the prequel, I could get them to maybe moving towards the series. And so I wrote a prequel to my Beguiling Bachelor series called Bewildered. And then I wrote I don't know why, actually, but I wrote a steamy little novella. And what I did was I put them both out there as reader magnets, and then I created my welcome sequence, and I created my newsletter. And what I did was I said there are a lot of erotic romance writers who are going to want this steamier little novella who are not going to be interested in promoting my prequel. And then there are people who read contemporary romance who are not going to be interested as much in my steamy novella, which is called Stud Muffin. And so I will give them Bewildered to work with. And that way I could reach a broader romance author audience um, of readers, ideally. It turns out most of my readers, about 80% based on polling, are about steamy. So they were happy with either one. But I didn't know that originally, so I created two reader magnets and then I started my newsletter and I created my welcome sequence. And my welcome sequence, I have two welcome sequences. Actually, I have three welcome sequences. One for people who just find me randomly, or who come in from the back of a book or whatever, but do not come in from one of the reader magnets. But if you come in with one reader magnet, the welcome sequence says, "Here's your reader magnet. Oh, I was so busy sending you a book, I didn't really share much about myself." And then the third one is, "If you'll tell me a little about you, I'll send you another book." And I ask them, are they an author or are they a reader or a writer? Do they like their books sweet or steamy or both? And when they answer those questions, they get the other reader magnet, the one they did not come in through. And then I send two more emails. One that is about the plot of the book that they should be reading to kind of remind them to read it, so that the last one I can say, "Won't you please leave a review?" Because I'm guilty of this and I know readers are. When they get a chance to get put their hands on a free book, they will download it, but they won't read it. And free books from authors are all about word of mouth and reviews. And if we don't get the reader to actually pick up the book and read the book, we've just thrown it away. I originally just had a brief welcome sequence, and I added this later when I realized that the process was just stopping. I would send them the book, and nothing would happen. I would see no traction in sales. I would see no interaction from readers. I lost several people who would sign up. They would unsubscribe, and when I added those last two um, emails to the sequence, my unsubscribe numbers went down and my sales went up. They ticked up a little. I won't say it was dramatic, but they ticked up a little. So I just wanted to get people to actually reading the book. Right, it's where I say, take it off your someday maybe list, please, and actually read it. And and I try and entice them with more than just the blurb that's on the back of a book, or what they've seen perhaps on Amazon or on a reader magnet, a landing page or whatever. I try and give them a little bit more to entice them to pick up the book and read the book. And then the last one is to ask for the review. That time when you have them going through the welcome sequence is the time they know who you are most excited about you as an author and your books. If you don't get them then, you don't get them, right? If they throw the book on the pile and they don't remember who you are, you've lost your best shot at them. I have not scaled the wall of reviews. It is a huge challenge. I'm sending out a newsletter today, and it's actually just starts out by saying, "I could really use your help. I really could use reviews." the best resource for somebody else finding a book is finding out that somebody else loved that book, and if you know, and sharing that information. So I say help readers, help readers find this book. If you love this book, help other readers find this book. Somebody who says I didn't like the book doesn't help me. Somebody who says there wasn't enough action for me is giving me useful feedback. Or I thought the hero was a little weak. That's useful feedback. So I really want the reviews to help readers, and to help with sales and to help me. So I started out originally just sending a newsletter when I had something to sell, and I took someone wise, did a webinar, and said, "Shame on you, Maddie, you're doing this all wrong." And I mean, they didn't say it quite like that. They didn't call me out, thank God. But I learned a lesson, right? I'm telling you, for the first 3 years, all I did was come face to face with things I had done wrong. But I started with once a month because it was what I felt I could handle. I will tell anybody listening, don't sign up for more than you can do consistently. Because consistency, you're going to hear this from people way wiser than me, consistency is king. If you tell people you're sending a monthly newsletter, you damn well better send it every month. If you're writing a weekly blog, you're writing a weekly blog. If you say it's coming on Tuesday, it's coming on Tuesday. Because otherwise, you look like a flake, and your readers go, "Well, where is it? I was expecting it, or I'm looking for it and I can't find it." And so I started with once a month. And because it was what I knew I could manage no matter what. I found that as I started to try and connect, once a month wasn't enough. So I went to I do a newsletter every other Tuesday, and I do one for all my readers, and all my authors are also on my reader list. Not one of them unsubscribed. I gave them the chance. So they get both, and then my readers get the one. I always do the same format so they know what to expect. Um, and so that I don't struggle with what to put in there for content. Okay, a swaps letter takes me 30 minutes, maybe an hour. At 6 o'clock Saturday morning, I started my swaps newsletter, and at 6:30, it was already uploaded and gone. Less than 30 minutes. And I will get 50, 60, 150 new readers on my email list just for having done those 4 swaps. My newsletters can take, well, I worked on a blog post and 2 newsletters all day yesterday. So about 4 hours. And I literally cut and paste the links, boom, and I say, this one's starting today, this one's ending today, there's more than 50 authors, there's 25, fabulous books for you to choose from, boom, done. Swaps. I've already talked about, literally cut and paste. And I don't normally have to go looking for swaps at all. Most swaps find me. I have a newsletter. It's regular. My numbers look good, thank God. And so authors usually find me, and I have no trouble getting 4 authors who want to swap with me that I want to swap with. So it's really fast and it's really easy. Now, was it this fast at the beginning? Honestly, pretty close. It's really easy. It's so easy to use. It is so easy to use because, like I said, one of the reasons I do this is to interact with other authors, and I'm not recommending their book. I'm sharing their book. So I haven't told my readers, you're going to love this book. Right. I didn't, this is a 5-star book. I'm saying here's a chance for you to explore new books and new authors. I do a little bit, sometimes I do a little bit of research. I will make sure if I don't know any of the four books in any given week, I'll probably go look on Amazon. Do they have a decent ranking? Do they have a few reviews? Are the reviews good or terrible? If I read a landing page, hint, hint, authors, if I read a landing page full of typos, I figure their book's probably full of typos. I don't swap with them. If they're messy on their landing page, I don't swap with them. I tell people start long before you publish a book with a mailing list. The first thing you want to do is a mailing list. And how you draw people to your mailing list is your business. I recommend a newsletter. Some people don't want to do a newsletter. Fine, do a blog. You don't want to do a blog? Do Instagram and have a place for sign up, or Pinterest and have a place for people to sign up for your email list. Build an email list, because when you launch that book, you want somebody there who's going to buy it. And you have to create that audience before the book comes out. I mean, you would never see Disney release a movie that they haven't been running commercials for 6 months. You don't have a Disney budget? Find a different way to do your commercials. Your commercials are your email list, or how you build your email list, whatever you use. Whatever it takes, build an email list and start communicating with your email list. And that would be my first step for everybody. And then my first step when you have a book is to obviously reach out to your email list and ask them to share, but to do swaps for exactly the reasons we've been talking about. They're free, they connect you with other authors who can be helpful, they have a great return on the investment, and if you're on Story Origin, they are super fast and super simple to do. I don't care if you're writing nonfiction, children's books, fantasy, romance, mystery. There is somebody who wants to share with you and reach your audience in exchange for letting you reach theirs. That's where I would start. And I would also tell people, I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm still trying to figure it out. So much to marketing books and being successful, being discovered, taking that reader who downloads your reader magnet and getting them to become a buyer. I mean, there's so many steps and so many variables that everyone feels overwhelmed by what's in front of them. Focus on one thing at a time. That's my advice. Focus on one thing at a time.